Let's welcome in now Stacy Washington, host of Stacy on the Right on Sirius XM. She's also the co-chair of Project 21. Also back with us again, Executive Director of USA Strong, Aaron Elmore, and former Florida congressional candidate and Air Force veteran Anna Paulina Luna. All right, ladies, what do we think about this video? Stacy, first to you. I mean, you know, a lot of people say the cops went too far here, dragging her out of the Capitol, but she was charged with disrupting the General Assembly. But I don't know. What do you think?
Well, so you know what? After watching the people in Portland and what they were allowed to do, maybe she thought she'd be given more leeway since the Democrats tend to get a lot more. They're just given a lot more opportunities before they're actually put through the ringer, not like what we've seen in other areas of the country. So, yeah. She disobeyed a direct order from him twice. He said it very low. He didn't get loud with her. He didn't get forceful until she knocked on the door that one more time. She kind of invaded his space just a little bit. And then he arrested her, and the others were egging her on. They weren't her best friends at that point, because what they should have said was, we can stand here and protest. We don't have to knock on the door because the officer said we can't knock on the door. So we're going to just stand here and protest. But they had to go that extra step. They egged her on. She fell for it. As an adult, it's her responsibility. So she was arrested. I mean, I don't understand what follow the direct orders of a law enforcement officer. What's so hard about that?
Well, and this day and age, apparently it's very hard. I mean, it's the politics, you know, and of antagonization is what we see here far too often. We saw this earlier, you know, that piece of video I'm reminded of when you had the National Guard troops from Guam going to Marjorie Taylor Greene's office. These things are meant to kind of intimidate people. That's, you know, and she's disrupting a governmental body from actually doing its job here. I think this is the type of stuff most people say that's taking things too far.
I mean, I hope that every single viewer looked at that clip and noticed that every single one of those women had their social media up and were live streaming. Let's be honest. These women went to an event. We know that the whole voter ID is nothing founded in racism or whatever they're trying to say. They were looking for a viral moment so that they could end up on Now This or Vice magazine and get their 10 seconds of fame. If you really want to talk about what happened in Georgia, we do need people to feel comfortable to vote so that they show up to the polls and we can all be heard in 2022. This way that she handled it, you know, there's a great saying, it's play dumb games, get dumb prizes, and she got a dumb prize.
Yes, yes. I like how you edited that there down just to one syllable. I like that. Let's talk to, you know, Massachusetts Senator Aaron Elizabeth Warren reacted to Cannon's arrest with this tweet right here. The Republican who is sitting in Stacey Abrams' chair just signed a despicable voter suppression bill into law and to take Georgia back to Jim Crow. You know, again, with Democrats, and they're trying to delegitimize these actual elections that we know are certified. Brian Kemp is the governor of Georgia, and even some Republicans aren't happy about that. But to say it's Stacey Abrams' chair, Aaron, and then accuse Republicans of inciting violence and not accepting the results of the election is pretty rich.
It is rich. And what happened to the insurrection now? Where are they calling for social media censorship in this instance? And to be honest with you, John, the American people deserve to have free and fair elections and believe in our election process and believe in the voting process. If you go back to the 2020 election, which no one wants to relitigate, you do have to look at some facts. President Trump won Ohio. President Trump won Florida. President Trump won 19 of 20 bellwether counties that have predicted the outcome that lends you to the White House since 1980. So a lot of people, whether you like them, dislike them, or think they are quote unquote, air quote, conspiracy theorists, there is a lot of data here and a lot of facts that could lead you to believe that the 2020 election isn't fair. And Georgia is taking a step to say, listen, Democrats, Republicans, independents alike deserve transparency. They deserve a right to vote and deserve to have faith in their election process. And people banging on his door and threatening him is not the way for everyone to feel that their election process is fair.
Yeah, again, getting up in someone's face, as Maxine Waters advocated for. That's not what we advocate for. We don't advocate for the politics of antagonization here. We know Al Sharpton does, though. The Reverend Al threatening to label two Democratic senators racist if they don't support eliminating the filibuster. In an interview with Politico, Sharpton issued the threat to both Joe Manchin and West Virginia Senator Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona, saying, quote, the pressure that we are going to put on Sinema and Manchin is calling the filibuster racist and saying that they are, in effect, supporting racism. Stacy, wow. You know, we have the easy button, right? And it seems like for Democrats nowadays, there's the racism button. Anytime they don't get their way, racism.
Yep.
Yeah, so John, I tweeted that out this morning that the filibuster is not just something that was made up during the Jim Crow era, and it's a true insult to people who grew up in the Jim Crow era, like my parents, and who had to suffer under what was really, it wasn't just an unequal system; it was brutal and unfair and painful, especially for the children, like my parents who grew up in the Jim Crow South and had to deal with that. And so here we are in America today in 2021. References to Jim Crow should be cordoned off, and they should be appropriate, not just used willy-nilly. The race card's all worn out and tattered, so now we're going to use Jim Crow. This wingback chair I'm sitting in is Jim Crow, if that's what they're applying to the filibuster. And the filibuster is meant to maintain bipartisanship so that the Senate doesn't become a simple majority rule body, a chamber where you just need a simple majority. The founders really thought that through. We are a representative republic, and if it weren't for the dumbing down of civics in this country, all Americans would be laughing at Al Sharpton right now.
No, it's a fair point. You know, I grew up in Atlanta going to the King Center. We used to go there like every single year for a field trip, and I remember, Stacy, seeing the video from Birmingham, Alabama with Bull Connor and the fire hoses, you know, and to make everything racist now, it's just, I think, to your point about your parents, the other thing about your chair, I mean, it is pretty white, let's be honest. Your chair is very white, so.
So privileged, so privileged.
If I can real quick, John, though, I mean, with what you said, Stacy, you knocked it out of the park, but to piggyback on that, they're using this too. They are trying to marginalize Hispanics and the Black demographic just alike. They said the same thing in New York and California about illegal voting, that it was apparently racist and that was targeting Hispanics. So look at what they're doing, but we need to stay united. And honestly, Stacy, you completely crushed it on that response. You're absolutely correct. And we need strong voices like hers and like mine and most people like us to speak out against this.
Yeah, no, and we have seen that, fortunately, too. And that's why, you know, I kind of get chills sometimes with these types of conversations, because we have got to stand up and call this stuff out for what it is. I was so, I mean, disappointed and shocked and almost outraged on Monday after the coverage of both the Atlanta shooting and now the Boulder shooting, how, you know, race has been used, Aaron, in both of those to create division, when, you know, everyone on this panel here wants to see a stop to this violence, but we're not going to, you know, give up our guns or kowtow to the liberal agenda just because it feels good in the moment.
Well, I don't even think that it feels good. I think it actually is quite dirty. And I think Al Sharpton needs to go back and read Chicken Little and The Sky is Falling. They have now made the word Nazi, made the word racist, have absolutely no implication and no meaning. All it has done is scare certain people into silence, and then you don't have an accurate representation of voices. But also, what it does for real Nazis and real racists is makes them sort of feel mainstream and justified in their behavior. So this is actually having the opposite of the intended consequence for people like Al Sharpton. No, everything in this world isn't racist. And as you said, the term is getting tattered, so they're moving on to Jim Crow. These words don't exist in a vacuum. They have serious implications and serious meanings, and just throwing them around without sort of worrying about the repercussions is really dangerous to our democracy and to the future of our country. And I would really advocate for anyone that's against this to speak out and say, this is not right. This is not what we stand for as Americans. We don't need this identity politics. We don't need this divisiveness. We need to move forward with unity, and not everything is about race or gender or country of origin. We are all Americans, at least last time we all checked, and let's try to move forward in that direction. It
would be nice if we could actually do that. And of course, the news conference last night with President Biden, it was also just jarring. We're going to talk more about that and some other stuff. Stacy and Aaron and Anna all coming back for the next hour. Guys, please stick around if you can. We're also going to do our Friday meme team. All the ladies have submitted memes. I have mine. We'll talk about that. And also, you know, I can't let it go. We're going to talk more about Kim Jong-un's black leather trench coat. So stay tuned for that.